Hey, what is up, mortals? It is GrogFunky here, with a new video for you. Welcome to part 14 of What If Deku Was a Dragon Slayer. Now, I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. And so, we begin. Midoriya, Wendy, and Kaminari stood at the forced opening of the train car. As they looked out over the city, the view almost made them want to cry. The sounds of citizens screaming in terror rang through the night. A massive fire could be seen in the distance. Wendy spoke in a voice full of concern.
This is horrible. It looks like the whole city is in flames. We should head for the fire. That will be where the emergency is. We can probably find Ida there.
Good idea, Midoriya. Plus, we can help save some pretty girls on the way. Wendy got an annoyed look on her face.
Let's keep our eyes on the task at hand, Kaminari. Save the civilians first. Look for a date later.
With that chastisement, the three teens leapt out of the train car and headed toward the fire. With all three wizards being so fast, it only took them a few minutes to reach their destination. When the three arrived, they saw more Nomus attacking the local heroes. The wizards did not know where to start. Should they help with the fire, or try to fight the Nomus? Suddenly, a male hero screamed over the top of the chaos.
Tenya! Where are you, Tenya? Oh, what a time for him to run off.
Midoriya realized that the screaming hero was the normal hero, Manuel. This was the hero that Ida was doing his internship with. The Granette also knew that Ida would not run off during an emergency like this. All these facts led to only one conclusion in Midoriya's mind. The green-eyed boy knew that Ida must have done the stupid thing he was worried about.
Midoriya!
Wendy shouted, to be heard over the ruckus.
You and Kaminari go find Ida. If he ran off, that can only mean that he went after you-know-who. You two need to find him before something bad happens to him. What about you, Wendy? I'll stay here and help real people. If Ida is where we think he is, then combat is a guarantee. You and Kaminari are still better at that than I am. All right, let's go, Kaminari.
Right, let's go save Engine Legs. The two boys ran off into the night. Meanwhile, Stain had Ida pinned to the ground. The blade-wielding villain pierced the brunette's forearm with one of his katanas.
Ingenium. So you're his brother. You are as useless and weak as he was.
Ida's eyes and voice were filled with rage.
Don't you dare speak my brother's name! I came here to avenge him, because he can't anymore!
Shouldn't you be worried about saving that guy?
Stain pointed to a wounded hero in the back part of the alley.
You were so consumed with getting revenge that you forgot about him. You're even close to being a hero.
Ida wanted to tell the hero killer he was wrong, but he couldn't. He hated the fundamentalist fanatic so much, but Stain had a point. The bespectacled teen knew that his brother wouldn't have acted like he did tonight. He knew that he had only himself to blame for what happened next. Stain raised his second katana and prepared to deliver the killing blow against Ida. Suddenly, a lightning bolt struck the hero killer's blade. This froze the anti-hero in his tracks. Midoriya came rushing into the alley and delivered a powerful flaming punch to Stain's face. The green teen then jumped back and stood in front of Ida. Ida was shocked to see his green-haired classmate standing in front of him. The stiff youth spoke in a surprised tone.
Midoriya, what are you doing here?
The fire user's voice was full of confidence.
It is okay, Ida. We have come to save you.
We? Just then, an electric bolt zipped through the alley and landed behind Stain. In a flash, the electric energy transformed into the form of Denki Kaminari.
Kaminari too? What are you two doing here? This is my fight! I have to finish the hero killer to avenge my brother!
Midoriya realized at that moment that Ida was worse off than any of them had known. The green teen tried to contain his anger, but he couldn't. Midoriya delivered a shift kick to his friend's armored side.
Do you hear yourself, Ida? You sound like a lunatic. Do you really think that you can take a guy like this on your own? Look at yourself. You're on the verge of death right now. Stay put and maybe the two of us can get out of this.
Midoriya summoned his magic and cast a spell he had learned from Master Makarov.
Fire magic! Fire bindings!
Ida was bound with ropes of fire. Fortunately, this spell wouldn't burn Ida. It just took Midoriya's firepower and turned them into ropes to bind his target.
That should hold you for now. Don't do this to me, Midoriya! I need to fight!
The green-haired youth got a cold look in his eyes.
No! If you move any more, you'll bleed out. I'll not allow that.
Ida wanted to protest more, but he couldn't. The look in his friend's eyes was more paralyzing than the fire ropes or the sword in his arm.
Well, Now that your speech is over, let's get this started.
Shadows enveloped Stain and spoke in an adamant tone.
Shadow magic. Shadow sleep.
A burst of darkness spread through the alley. Midoriya and Kaminari surrounded themselves in barriers made of their elements. When the darkness passed, Ida and the second hero, who Midoriya said was native, had passed out. Since the two were so still, most people would think the two injured heroes were dead, but both boys, being dragon slayers, could hear their breathing. They were just out cold, but very much alive.
So, you are a magic user.
I am, but not just any magic user.
With those words, Stain's skin turned pitch black and became scaly. The tall man's incisors got sharpened until they looked like fangs, and dark scales spread all over his arms and face.
I am a dragon slayer.
Both boys were awestruck at the statement. Kaminari voiced the boy's thoughts first. I don't want to believe it, but his magic does smell like ours, but different.
You're right. It smells a bit like Tokoyami's dark shadow. So that must make him a shadow dragon slayer then.
You two are smart. I like you two. You came here to save your friend and you make a flashy entrance. I think that you two are worthy of staying alive. But I know you won't just leave.
You got that right, Stain. We're leaving here with our friend and native.
I see.
By the way, where did you learn Dragon Slayer magic from?
If you two can beat me, then I'll tell you.
Stain took a deep breath and yelled at the top of his lungs,
Shadow Dragon Roar!
He then released a blast of shadowy energy from his mouth. Despite their surprise that the hero killer Stain was a Dragon Slayer, both Midoriya and Kaminari managed to dodge the roar attack.
He has a roar attack just like us.
He is definitely a Dragon Slayer.
So it would seem. I can tell from the way this guy moves that he is not new to his powers. He has just been trained extensively. There's no way that we can just grab Ida and Native and run away. The guy is just too fast.
You're right, buddy. We're gonna have to work together if we're going to stand a chance.
Agreed.
Both the two could plan. Stain attacked again, this time forming the shadows into massive claw constructs over his hands. The villain made several swipes at the two teens. This left large claw marks in the walls of the alley as the two dodged out of the way. The boys knew that if those claws would hit them, they would be gravely injured. This left them on the defensive. The boys continued to dodge the hero killer's slashes. After a minute or two, they'd gotten into positions to make their attack. Midoriya gave a nod to his partner and he returned it. The green teen and the bolt brain powered up, their dragon roar attacks. The powerful fire and lightning blast hit Stain dead on, one from the front and one from the back. Both attacks lit up the alley and kicked up a lot of dust from the ground. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Staying safe online is an ever-growing difficulty, and hackers could exploit you. NordVPN allows you to change your IP address, making you harder to track and securing your privacy. In addition to providing you a safe passage through the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services. Are you tired of going through 2, 3, or even 4 streaming services just to watch your favorite anime? Well, with NordVPN, you can change your country and be able to binge shows like My Hero Academia, Naruto, and many others on your favorite streaming service with just the press of a button. Check out the link in the description, and you could get 72% off when buying a 2-year plan for $3.29 a month. This deal is only for a limited time. And thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. As the light and dust cleared, Stain was still standing. The tall man did look like he had received some damage, but not a lot. Midoriya thought to himself, if I knew this was going to be tough with just the two of us... But this guy's insane. He took 2 Dragon Roar attacks from 2 different directions, and he didn't even bat an eyelash. Midoriya reached into his pocket and took out his phone. He sent a message giving his location to his whole contact list. Stain renewed his attack. The Shadow Wielder released powerful dark roars and Shadow Claw attacks against the Dragon Slayer teens. The boys attacked, but Stain would just deflect or dodge. Both boys knew that they wanted to get more dangerous in their attacks if they wanted to finish this guy. The longer this fight went on, the more likely that everyone is in the alley to die. Midoriya lit his fist on fire and moved in closer to Stain. The man was quick, but Midoriya delivered several powerful flaming punches to the man's midsection. Stain jumped back only to be hit from behind by an electric strike from Kaminari. Stain repaid the two by hitting them with slashes from his shadow claws. This left both parties damaged. Stain needed to finish this fight quickly. He could feel his destructive impulses growing within him. You two are really strong. Given some more training, you two would probably be a match for me. Both boys said nothing to Stain's provocation and continued to attack. The teens were getting hammered as they attacked the hero killer. Both teens were covered in cuts and bruises. The battle continued until Midoriya and Kaminari found themselves backed into one end of the alley. Breathing hard, Kaminari commented,
I knew this was going to be hard, but this is crazy. Yeah, but Stain is suffering too. His fighting style has shifted. He's getting more aggressive and his attacks are less focused. Plus his eyes. Look at them. You're right. They're the eyes of a fanatic. But now he looks more like a berserker. Yeah, he hasn't even tried to dodge our last few attacks. That gives us a chance to hit him. We need to hit him with everything we have left at the same time. What do you say? I don't have a better idea, so let's do it. Stain was about to attack the two boys again, but was broken out of his growing rage as what he sensed. Stain knew that Midoriya and Kaminari were focused on their remaining magic into one massive attack, but that is not what sent chills down his spine. The noseless man could sense the boys getting on the same magic frequency. This should not have been possible for young wizards like them. Stain's master had told him about this in passing, but the way the man described it, he figured that he would never see one. Stain knew he was seeing these two baby dragon slayers perform a unison raid. Stain was so distracted by what was happening that Kaminari and Midoriya were able to launch their attacks. Both boys released massive waves of fire and lightning. The two elemental energies swirled together, creating a giant funnel of burning, shocking energy. Stain consumed all of the shadows he could as the unison raid approached. The Darkness Mage used his power to create a barrier of darkness to protect him. The unison raid hit Stain like a hurricane of force. The man thought that his defensive move would protect him, but he was wrong. The flame and lightning vortex ripped through the dark barrier like a cannonball through tissue paper. Stain found himself in a storm that burned his flesh and paralyzed his nerves, all at the same time. The force then sent Stain flying out of the alley into the main street of Hosu. Both Midoriya and Kaminari fainted from overuse of their magic. Fortunately, Wendy had gotten Midoriya's message and grabbed several pro heroes and went to their location. All of the heroes and sidekicks were surprised by what they found. The group worked quickly to restrain Stain and get medical attention to Midoriya, Kaminari, Ida, and Native. All four were taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. The following morning, Midoriya laid in the hospital bed. The young boy stirred and sat up. As the haze of sleep left his brain, he was met by the sight of Wendy using her cure magic on Ida, who was in the bed across from the fire user. How long have you been at it? I healed you and Kaminari last night. The doctor said that your wounds were not that serious. You two passed out from overusing your magic, and you were covered in cuts and bruises. You even had several stress fractures. But I was able to heal you two pretty quickly. It did leave me drained on my magic, though. I figured I should rest before attempting to heal Ida's injuries. Plus, the doctors wanted to make sure he was stable first. Midoriya walked over to Wendy and wrapped the tiny girl in a firm hug. Midoriya then spoke in a tender voice. Thank you, Wendy. I don't know what I would do without you. Wendy's face broke out in a bright shade of vermilion. The air user was not expecting to be hugged by Midoriya. She was so shocked that she didn't even know what to say. Suddenly, a rage built up in the small girl. She reached around and slapped Midoriya across the face. Midoriya did not know what to think of this. I was so worried about you, and then I saw you and Kaminari all cut up and bloody. My heart dropped out of my chest. I don't know what I would have done if something had happened to you. I'm sorry that you had to see that, but I just couldn't leave Ida there. Steen would have killed him. I know that, but I can't help you now that I feel it. You're very important to me, Ida. The thought of losing you is just unbearable to me. Wendy then embraced Midoriya and wept into the hospital gown. Please tell me you won't die, Midoriya, please! Midoriya stroked the back of Wendy's hair lovingly. Midoriya then lifted the girl's face to meet his eyes. I'm not going anywhere, Wendy. After all, I have you to look after me, and I still haven't become the hero I wish to be. Really? You mean it? I do. Midoriya, can I call you by your first name? I would like that, Wendy. Not to mention, it was getting weird with you calling me by my last name and you using it for the first time. Okay, Izuku. The two teens shared a long, loving glance. Wendy then reacted out of instinct and stood on her toes and kissed Midoriya on the cheek. It was at that moment when Marikov Dreyer slid the door open.
Well, I see that one of them is alive.
Wendy got embarrassed all over again. She spoke in a surprised tone.
Oh, Master, I did not know you were here.
Obviously. How is young Ida, Wendy?
I have healed him, but he won't be awake until tomorrow.
I see. My dear, I need to speak to the boys.
Okay, Master. I'll go update the doctors about Ida. Wendy walked out of the room and closed the door.
All right, Kaminari, quit laying there pretending to be asleep.
The blonde opened his eyes and sat up in the hospital bed. Midoriya's eyes went wide in surprise.
Kaminari, you were awake this whole time?
Yeah, I was. Way to go, Midoriya. I knew that there was something between you two. I'm kind of envious.
Kaminari's creepy actions aside,
I hear that you two pulled off a unison raid. What, Master? Mirakov explained.
Unison Raid is the name of the move you two pulled off. You two managed to get your magic into perfect harmony. This allowed your separate attacks to combine and create a more powerful attack. The resulting release of magic power can be many times that of the original attack. This is difficult even for experienced wizards to master.
Both boys knew that the final attack they pulled off was different from the other attacks that they had performed. However, they could not have imagined that what they did was so exceptional. Both boys shared a knowing smile.
You did well out there, but it was against the law for you two to attack Stain without having a hero license. But don't worry about that. I talked to the police chief, and he's not going to press charges against you for that. They're going to say that Endeavor, who was in the area, by the way, was responsible for the capture. The burns and bruises will support that story. But this means you will not receive any of the credit. And I and your classmate's supervisor, Manuel, will be punished for being negligent in your duties.
I'm sorry we caused you so much trouble, Master.
Mirakov smiled at the boys.
Please, compared to Natsu and Laxus, you two are practically tame. Anyway, the law notwithstanding, I am proud of you two for doing what you did out there. You stopped the villain from hurting innocent people. That is a win in my book, no matter what the police say.
The boys were overjoyed at the praise from the tiny old man.
However, your friend is a different story. He put his life and yours in danger in order to seek revenge. I and Manuel will discipline him when he awakens.
Mirakov turned to leave.
As for you two, get some rest. Wendy may have healed your wounds, but you still used a lot of magic in the Unison Raid. You two should be back to full strength by tomorrow. That way we can get back to the training. There are still several days left in your internship after all.
With that comment, the old master left the room. Midoriya and Kaminari settled into their hospital beds to rest as Mirakov ordered. Little did the UA students know that their whole world was about to change forever. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that we the Celestials have many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.